What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Civilization 5 European Conquest AI only battle. Some of the civs are starting to just get into the industrial era, so we've revealed coal. Again, if you can spot some, good, I guess. I'll try and maybe we'll turn it on. Should we see? Let's have a look. Who's got coal? It's a pretty big resource. We're not doing info addicts and stuff like that, so I feel like we are further ahead than we might normally be. I did not see Morocco with any coal. Here, so again, if I miss it, it's gonna happen, so don't worry. Some of you will be better spotting these than me. Doesn't appear there's those. Okay, nope, there you can see Spain does have 6 here between Madrid and Barcelona. They may have more up here as well, for that matter. Let's move on to my pick, Rome. Do you have any coal? We'll do oil and the other 3 later on together in a big one, once we get to sort of the modern era. Doesn't look again like Rome has any coal, but I'm sure there'll be some that I've missed, maybe just because of their size. Feels reasonable that they could have some. I don't see any though, so Rome, no coal. Germany, we'll do Germany, England, Poland, sort of the rest of Northern Europe here together. I'm not seeing anything apart from bison, let alone... There's actually like loan luxuries in this territory. This is pretty brutal for these civs. Yeah, I'm not seeing any coal around here. Quickly do England. There is again quite a lack of coal. So far we've seen 1 coal. I'm sure I've missed plenty. Like it must be, or maybe there is just a limited amount of coal on this map. But I'm not seeing all too much. I don't know if there's some in Iceland there. That's the 2nd coal we've seen. But it doesn't look too... Of course, cities could be on top of coal. You wouldn't see it in that case. So that probably does happen. Because obviously the AI didn't see it at the time either. But I'm not seeing much at all here in any of Poland's territory. Russia, of course, a big one. They have iron. They do have some coal here in Khabarovsk. And remember, they get double strategic resources. So they will, when they mine this, which they have not actually... I don't think they can see it just yet. But once they can, they will... get double out of that resource. Nothing. No, not much else going on there, I don't think. Again, if I've missed it, I'm sorry. It's not. There's a lot of things. There is some here for the Huns. So Attila has also got some. So that's, I mean, yeah, they're pretty big. They have 3 more settlers just here and another one over there. So that is probably going to happen. And they did manage to block or grab themselves the rest of this entrance. I don't know where this Ottoman and Assyrian settlers will go, as well as those other 4 Huns settlers. See, do the Ottomans have any coal? It does. Yes, they do. They have 6 coal here, and that looks like it. Assyria probably again. I feel like they're just so big. They have to have at least some, right? Surely. I say that, can't see any. Oh no, there is some right there. 6 coal. So again, Assyria does at least have coal. Egypt doesn't look like it, and obviously they're very small, so it's very unlikely unless there's some right. There is a lot of silver though. But no coal. Is there any just sort of free coal? We haven't seen much coal that's just not been settled either, apart from that bit in Iceland. No, it doesn't look like it. And finally, Greece. They do have coal as well. So there we go. That's that question answered to who has coal, who might get ironclads and stuff like that. If any of the civs that were without it, the obvious place could be get to Iceland, grab that 6 coal that is here. That would be pretty useful. And there's the Old Faithful as well. You could settle a good tile here, get Old Faithful, maybe get, if you're here on your own long enough, you get the marble and the deer as well. You could really make something out of Eastern Iceland, as Morocco adds another city on this river, which does give them access to some gold as well as wheat. Pretty useful resources to get, some luxuries in there, as the World Congress welcomes city-states, of course. There are no city-states playing a part here. And also, interesting, England. I thought Marseille might be in trouble when Spain and Poland attacked them, but it seems like England is more likely to take Chartres here, unless, well, the only problem is there's no melee unit to actually take it. But at the moment, England's longbowmen putting up a very good fight, and yeah, if they send over one of that musketman maybe that's in the sort of southwest of London, maybe they'll have a chance. But at the moment, it's still quite far away, so we'll see. They'll need to commit. Germany now has riflemen. Sweden not really responding to Germany's presence. They're just fine with that, I guess. Maybe they just can't. Maybe they've accepted it. They're not strong enough to do anything. Russia now with Gatling guns, as that border begins to fill out between them and Poland. That is going to be a big one. You could probably Poland could probably do a squeeze in one more city in here, just to shore up this area. But somewhere like here, so that the forest acts as a natural kind of barrier. We saw that work quite well in the previous series. Someone who there was a big forest that made it very difficult for civs to get through, at least until, you know, paratrooper XCOM squad times. Another new city here for Assyria. They're doing just about everything. They're avoiding the desert as much as possible. And of course they still have the option to go into the desert. There's also a path like here that they've not settled in. Just a sort of dry, barren bit with no resources. On the mini-map there's just a big gap between their territories. They've actually now got more cities than the Huns in the Caspian Sea, so we'll see if there's any rivalry there. I really don't know who is winning. Like, it's very hard to tell. Assyria declares war on Greece. We'll keep an eye on that. I mean, we have the scoreboard, but I don't know who exactly. There's a few civs there with above, I think 5 there had above 1,000. Assyria 1,012, 1,011 for the Huns, so 1 point in it. 1,133, so Poland's a bit ahead, and the other two, Russia and Spain, pretty similar to the Huns and Assyria. Sweden not doing so good. The Ottomans 666, Germany 7. There is a big gap though between those thousands and the rest, so maybe that is where the answer lies. And we saw Assyria attack Greece, but a bigger war in the north, Russia versus the Huns. This is a big one. These are two, probably I don't want to say largest because that's probably wrong, but Spain also looks huge. And Assyria's got a lot of cities, but is not so spread out compared to Spain. It's hard to tell who is actually the biggest. I mean, the demographics will tell me, but it's based on tiles. There's some... Spain have less cities, but over a bigger area, and haven't necessarily filled all the gaps out yet. And Assyria, for example, looks smaller, but has a lot more cities. But it does currently say that the Huns have the most land and the most soldiers, but Russia with the most technology. So that could weigh in to this war. Quality versus quantity, although it's not a huge advantage. They have similar tech levels. Overall, Russia does have Cossacks available though, which could give them a little boost. The Huns though do have their... where it just disappeared. They do have a horse archer, but I feel like that's a bit outdated. And they've added another city here. They've really squeezed on the Ottomans with these cities. They don't want any more of this settling from Assyria and the Ottomans through the Caucasus Mountains. They have cut them off down here for sure. Lots of cities now for the Huns, but there's plenty. You know, Germany have loads. Maybe not as many, but they've added another one here between sort of Spain and Rome in Bielefeld. Chartres is still close, but still no. They need to send a melee unit. The city is not coastal. Privateer isn't going to cut it. It's going to need to be a musketman, which they're just not sending. And there it is, the Huns finally. I forgot they were even still at war with Greece. They have now managed to conquer Pergamon and Eritrea off of Greece, which gives them more control over the Black Sea in the north as Morocco builds the Taj Mahal. And yeah, Greece starting to wither a little bit. Maybe they'll be the next France. Rome with another settler and the Huns heading towards this vast open space still. Here. Which can still be taken. It's kind of Romania and above in real life. Still available. Hungary, Romania, that sort of territory. But the Huns do have a settler going for it, as do the Romans. Rome will go for more south, and Huns probably get one here towards Poland. There we go. Poland. Poland is very much focused on fighting England here. But yeah, I mean, now would have been a good time to go and hit Russia maybe. Turn the tide of this one. Russia is invading the Huns, but slow progress. And the Huns certainly have the units to defend with. So we'll see how it goes for them. Any new settlers up in Finland? Nope, just expanding borders for these two at the moment. But this could be an awkward territory to fight for with all these lakes. You sort of settle in between them, you get some good spots. Of course, happiness will maybe influence that as well. German settler there. We'll see where that ends up. I'm guessing probably somewhere in Scandinavia as well. There's still, yeah, there's options for Germany. There's still space. Rome might settle. They settler. How did you get here? How did Spain not take that? I don't know, but they left it alone again. As Spain themselves enter the industrial era for the first time. They have 3 settlers themselves. We'll see where they end up. And there it is. England finally sent in a musketman and takes control of that city, giving them a bit more of the former French coast. I think Poland might get it back. They have a lot of units nearby. And we'll see. This trebuchet, yeah, oh, they've crossed over though, so that England could do some damage. Russia and the Huns have decided enough is enough already, and no cities changing hands. Meanwhile, yeah, Russia they are stuck right now. I think they're struggling, because Poland's obviously, we saw Poland cut them off, although I'm still worried because this is very empty. Russia could go again. But yeah, the Huns are settling, and they held Russia off. So they not only, although they didn't win that war, in the time that Russia was building units and fighting, the Huns did get a lot bigger. So yeah, cities like this one is just another example right along that border, continuing to prevent this Assyrian settler from getting put down. The Ottoman one seems to have just disappeared. I don't even know where that went. Maybe it just ran back across the sea, but there's one here. I don't know if that's the same one. I would guess not. But saying that, the Ottomans do now have 3 cities in northern Africa, so they're becoming more important. And we have our first ideology, Russia, going for autocracy. We'll keep an eye on who joins them, see the alliances. But there we go. We're approaching turn 200. It is definitely slowing down now, as you'd expect. But who knows? Maybe one left was, I don't know. We certainly won't get to one left with me talking, but you know, I hope it's possible. You know, it would be cool, right? Less civs, you'd hope, but maybe the map size is still too much. Rome did just put down 2 new cities. Caesar Augusta here, to the south of Bielefeld, and they also went for Caesarea over here. Maybe it's Augustus Caesar's time. And here's another settler actually heading out this way, as the Huns filled a bit more of that space too. But yeah, Russia declares war on Poland. That seemed pretty obviously like it was going to happen. So can Poland defend again? That is the question. Russia does have a stronger military this time, but they're not prepared for it this time. So that changed. Before they were surrounding Gdansk or surrounding Poznan. So this time they both have times to get over. Poland does appear to have open borders with Egypt. So, Germany, sorry. So they should be able to get over. But the problem is they are still very focused on small cities here that strategically aren't that important to Poland. And also Spain is probably going to grab Marseille here anyway, so you know, you may as well leave this and just move on. It's not your conflict, go away. Rome has grabbed a city in North Africa too, Brundisium. So Rome's starting to enter that phase where they just settle anything that is available. I think Rome and Germany are still at war, I didn't realise that. But yeah, just take as much land as you can with all these settlers and apologise to all the civs afterwards. They actually cut off the Huns here between the mountains, which was probably a smart move, because people like Greece, they might not get so lucky. They seem a bit... The Huns are being channeled towards them, whereas here, Rome, you know, that's a great settlement. That is really hard to get to. There's, you know, 1 tile through all these mountains. That's going to be difficult to do anything against. If Rome settles like here or something, or even here, that is going to be brutal to try and get through. Spain is doing some damage. They may end up grabbing some of these cities, especially with Germany helping. So I have another settler here in Brittany. England has left like all of Scotland, and there's some luxuries. There's certainly luxuries in Ireland as well. So I don't know why England and Sweden's isolation has just harmed them so much early on. It makes no real sense. England could have, you know, if England settled all of this, they would be just as big as some of these other civs. Strange as Marseille does fall into Spanish hands. And I'm guessing this city might fall to Poland pretty soon. Russia just snuck in another settler here. I said it. I said Poland needed to settle here to make sure these cities didn't get cut off, but the AI obviously wasn't listening. Of course, they may have been about to be fair. There is 2 settlers here. And Rome does add another city again behind this wall of mountains, but not exactly ideal. I feel like they could, I guess avoiding losing tiles to the mountains helps too. Poland does grab the city of Chartres, and there is peace deals for Rome, so they hold on to everything. That is fantastic. And Germany has also added another city to the north here of the Alps. And Spain, it looks like, yeah, Spain is going to punish England for not taking everything as they send a settler towards the Channel, with the fight for Marseille continuing. Still no one going for Sardinia or any of that territory. Let's have a look at how the religions are doing in just a second. The Ottomans have got another settler heading over towards North Africa as Spain retakes Marseille. Assyria's attack on Athens has not really gone too well, and so far Russia has put no Polish cities under siege. There we go, world religions by number 52, dominant now, overtaking Catholicism is Eastern Orthodoxy from the Greeks, so that's pretty big for them. Now in 52 cities, The second and the closest competitor is Catholicism in 40 cities out of Spain in the west. Then 21 now for Buddhism from Russia in the Far East, which makes sense that those are the sort of three, one in the middle, one on the sort of east, one in the west. The best three. Morocco's is then in 12. Yeah, they just weren't too not connected, and I think they couldn't really fight with Spain's religion either, so that was kind of a double whammy penalty to them. So they've only got 12, and yeah, Poland's, Egypt's, and England's just never really took off. I thought Egypt's may have done better, but I guess Morocco's probably blocked them off that way, and then I don't know why they've not spread so much to Assyria. Assyria's pretty religionless at the moment, so maybe Egypt is just not making enough faith. I think I missed that, but Russia built the Uffizi there, I think, based on the picture. Industrial era now for England, one of the later civs to enter the industrial era. And I think Spain is about to settle a city in Cornwall, which will give them control of the southern channel entrance. Another mistake probably from England not to have settled somewhere. Oh no, they're going to keep going. Maybe to Ireland then. I just want to quickly look at the biggest cities in the world. It is a bit of a tie at the moment. London and Thebes at 24. Krakow at 22 every time. Stockholm at 22. Warsaw at 21. And then Kar Tukulti Ninutra at 21 as well. Nimrud, a lot of Assyrian cities there. Nimrud and Dushurukin at 20. England's York is also above 20. Germany with 2 more settlers arriving in Scandinavia. Sweden's finally got one. But there we go, double settlement from Germany, just to give them even more territory up there. So they are expanding, despite being pretty quiet war-wise. I know they were fighting Rome, but still. And they have more settlers on the way too. There's at least 2 I can see there. Russia is... Oh, okay, so this is where it begins. It seems like Kaunas here could be in trouble. Poland did add this city, Swednitz, to the north. Again, trying to block the Huns from just taking more land. But Russia's now fully surrounded. And there's still some space here, but it filled up very quickly, and Rome's borders will continue to fill up. They do not want the Huns settling this side. They need to be careful there. But yeah, Poland. Kaunas could come under siege, but I did see that, Poland was having a go at taking Irkutsk here, which would be good for them. They have more settlers going to Finland too. And Athens falling into the hands of Assyria. That is the second capital to drop of the series. Assyria pushing in. Them and the Ottomans are just creating some monstrosity with these borders. It's like a circle of alternating borders. And the Huns join Russia, going for autocracy. Of course, that's influenced by the domination victory, not by necessarily a desire to be best friends, which could happen, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. They'd have to work together or anything. Obviously, if you're in the first 2, you get an extra, I think you get 2 extra picks if you're in the first 2 to pick one, or 2 if you're first and 1 if you're second, something like that. So that will of course suit them. We might see the next 2 civs go order for that reason, even if, you know, autocracy might be the way to go. But there we go, another new city for Poland. Another coastal one, another port. We'll see where this one ends up. They could do with an inland one between these lakes, as I've kind of mentioned. But so far, so good. Even the city of Kaunas it's just not going well for Russia. Which is okay, right? I think we can get behind that. They've won, I think, probably the most games. Maybe the Iroquois are up there with them as a big winner, but yeah, they tend to do pretty well, so don't think anyone's too worried. Poland retook Chartres and peaced out. Marseille also went back to England. Spanish settler has arrived in Ireland. Iceland is still open. Sweden's settler actually left Scandinavia. They're just going for Scotland instead. And the Ottomans, oh, that is rough. They've settled 5 cities now in North Africa, and now they're going to fight Egypt over there. I mean, if the Ottomans conquered Egypt, that would be pretty interesting. Bit of Ottomans, Mamluks, EU4 style action, although Assyria has just emerged in the middle of the 2. The Huns never made any more progress really against the Greeks, but that might be about to change now that they're at peace again. And Russia is throwing everything at this city, and I was going to say it's not working, but let's give them a turn just in case. They have no artillery weapons, and I don't mean like no artillery the unit, I mean they don't even have trebuchets. That is possibly hurting them. And if I'm not... Is there a resource requirement for trebuchets? I'm not sure. Poland did manage to put one of those settlers down here, where we're sort of recommended, before Russia put down Irkutsk, but there we go. Gluis. I'm a bit worried we're going to run out of city names at this rate. Kielce. Yeah, at this point I have no idea how to pronounce these. We're getting to the point where these will be small town or medium to large towns, I guess, as opposed to major cities. It's going to be harder and harder to do it. But there we go. Spain did settle sort of northeastern Ireland with Leon. So we'll see how annoyed England is with that. Obviously it's going to hurt them in the future, even if not in this current war. Rome sneak another settler into North Africa. And they've put another one down here as well, just to really stand up. Even Spain now doesn't really have much to settle, apart from the stuff that England is giving them for free. And even England now has finally built a settler, as that Swedish settler also heads on over around Scotland. I don't know where that's going to end up now. I thought it was going to go straight to Scotland. They have chose not to. There is 3 really big civs in the east, but with potential, Assyria filling out the desert even more. If you look at Assyria, the Huns, and Russia, but they all face challenges. Russia is clearly struggling to invade Poland and is pretty much out of space to grow unless they can beat Poland. The Huns, I don't see them getting through these mountains to get to Assyria. They could probably grind their way through the Ottoman territories. But even this way, Rome has got a good defense. I mean, this city is a problem, but Rome, if they were ready for it, could probably capture that first. And then also, yeah, these other cities behind the mountains are relatively safe, and Rome is still adding more just to fill every bit of space. So the Huns could struggle. Greece might be the weak link. Greece and the Ottomans, but even the Ottomans are doing pretty good stuff at the moment. England plopped down. They didn't take any new territory. Oh, this was a different one. Maybe there's another settler, but they just added to something they already had. Yeah, and then Assyria, I mean, yeah, war with the Ottomans will still be tough. I mean, it might go better than some others. And getting over to Egypt won't exactly be easy. And even if you get through that, you still have to get through the Ottomans again. And then, yeah, once you get to Central, well, not Central Europe, but the rest of Europe, I mean, Poland is no pushover here quite clearly. Germany looks pretty solid. Spain is huge as well in the west. They're probably on a par with some of those civs. Maybe fallen behind a bit in city numbers, but certainly level to Russia. And Rome is also right up there as well. They now have a huge amount of the Balkans and more, as well as Italy and other parts of southern France. So yeah, I mean, England and Sweden, there's more. It feels like there's more bad civs that won't win than there is ones that could win right now. Germany's added more cities here. Germany is for the first time actually attacks Rome. So that's interesting. Normally it's always been Rome v Germany before. This time it's Germany v Rome. And ideology number 3, I believe. I'm just going to check that because I feel like I just ignored one that came up. No, it is number 3. Order for Poland. Now, as you can see, the autocracy civs are actually unhappy, while Poland has 55 happiness. So that may play in. That could play in pretty big here to the ideological game. I mean, they have 22 combined tourism against Poland's 15. The other civs obviously will soon choose, and you'd imagine the next civ, which could be a Spain or maybe Spain or whoever else is good on tech. I think Germany's actually doing pretty well on tech. It's probably going to go order 2. Russia does complete the Brandenburg Gate. That Swedish settler is heading towards Western Ireland, I think. That other English settler did, yep, they went for sort of, finally, why don't you do these 2 cities from the beginning? I don't know if happiness has been a problem, but there you go, finally England. Adding some more cities, that will give them more boat capacity in about 20 turns when these cities are up and running at a good production level. I can never tell if someone's settling, or it looks like border growth, but I'm more focused on the mini-map just to see where I have to click to. The Ottoman invasion of Egypt has not gone particularly great. And 4th ideology, there it is, Spain does decide to join order, which they have a lot less tourism, so it's 21 against 24. But Spain, okay, the happinesses have now changed. Russia's just about pulled out of it, and the Huns have pulled out of it. But Spain is at -5, so there we go. Nice little mix. But there we go, Spain and Poland. You're kind of getting Western versus Eastern Europe here. Interesting. There's a Hunnic settler there. I don't know where that will end up. There's also another one here. If they keep going and just filling every little bit, that would sort of split Rome and Poland. I don't know if Rome would want that or if Poland would want that, but there we go. Poland did, yeah. Okay, the Gdansk is in a bit of trouble here, but again, it's not going to be easy. Poland also has some privateers, which should be able to butcher through some of these units they've put in the water. Kaunas is still under threat. It seems like this should be going really easily for them, and it just isn't working out at all. And I guess if Poland's now at peace with England, they will start to filter back over, and it does seem like we're getting that. You can see around Katowice, Lublin, some of these other cities. Oh my goodness, this is a 25-minute episode. I was just not even paying attention at all. Well, I hope you're enjoying it. Wondered why my voice was starting to get, my throat was getting very sore. That would be why, talking for 25 minutes straight. Well, that will be it for this episode. As always, if you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. It is getting pretty exciting as we have some monstrous civs doing, or set to do, battle. And obviously, once we get into that modern era, artillery and planes can change, and battleships as well, for that matter. And I guess cannons, we haven't really seen cannons yet either, but once we get to that sort of stage, that will really change the game. An embargoment of Poland failed. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, did I just say this? I can't remember. If you like, comment, normal stuff. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.